to 70 different stakeholders, both federal, state agencies, universities, and NGOs to get designated as an urban bird treaty city. So one of the reasons why this is important is a recent report in 2019 came out documenting the loss of 2.9 billion birds since 1970. So that's a lot of birds. This was using breeding bird survey data and then also weather station data looking at the biomass passing through during migration. And I just wanted to put in a graph here that's a little bit difficult to read, so I'll try and explain it to the best of my ability. But on top there, those are birds that are increasing, and geese and swans are increasing at 1,000%. Then next you have the dabbling and diving ducks, which are increasing at approximately 34%, and then water birds at 18%. And then the birds that are in decline, are related to specific habitats or other specific ducks like western forests, arid lands, eastern forest birds, sea ducks, shore birds, grassland birds. And then that last declining trend is tipping point species. And these are species that are losing approximately 50% of their population every 10 years. And so these are the birds that we're really concerned about, because these are the next ones that'll probably be listed on the threatened and endangered list. And so migratory birds use habitats in and around cities. They're attracted to cities due to the bright lights, and they provide birds stop over at these locations. They're continue on in their migration, and so it's really important in these urban areas, so birds are able to refuel and continue on their migratory journeys. And so the real catalyst that got this effort started and TWRA involved was the purple martins, and I'm sure some of you all have heard about issues with purple martins around Nashville. But just to give you a background on the bird, it's really reliant on human nest boxes. And so they breed throughout the East, and they basically only nesting in these gourd structures that you can see on the top left there. We have one for an example up by the headquarters if you wanted to take a look at it. But we're interested in what we can do for this species. They're roosting in Nashville downtown in front of the symphony, and you can see that by that picture below, just the amount of birds. That's just one picture of birds flying in, and there'll be about 100,000 birds just coming into this small area. So you can imagine the amount of fecal matter and mess that's created, damage to the trees and other things. And so Federation and Nature Conservancy established an account to collect money to help the symphony in downtown Nashville to get this fecal matter and mess cleaned up. And so that's where we really started talking with the city, other partners throughout, to make a benefit for both wildlife species and birds. So we started putting, Warner Park started putting transmitters on birds. These are life tags that are solar powered, and they transmit a signal that can be detected. It's hard to see on the top right picture is an antenna. And so these antennas are located throughout the world. And anytime a bird that passes by one of these antennas, it's called the MOTUS network, MOTUS.org is where you can locate this information. But anytime one of these birds passes by one of these towers, you're able to document the presence of it. And so you can see in that bottom map that during the roost, it's going out and feeding during the day, and then these birds come in at night to the roost in the hundred thousands. So we all got together and wanted to create and designate Nashville as an urban bird treaty city. The program mission is to help alleviate bird population declines and create connected conservation communities by providing opportunities for both people in urban areas to access and connect with nature through bird-related activities. And the goals that are highlighted that we needed to address in a plan that we will be submitting tomorrow is to support partnerships of public agencies, NGOs, and local communities working to conserve birds in urban areas through protecting, restoring, and enhancing urban habitats for birds, reducing urban hazards to birds, and educating and engaging urban communities and caring about and conserving urban birds and their habitats. And so what are the benefits of becoming an urban bird treaty? It's really getting all of these groups and partnerships together so we're not wasting resources and operating in silos. So just getting people together, trying to focus our efforts on the birds, habitats, and peoples that are in urban environments. And so we plan to use the State Wildlife Action Plan. We're currently in the process of reviewing that to inform conservation efforts for the species of greatest conservation need in Davidson County. Davidson County is the entire study area for this project proposal. It also helps the city achieve municipal green space requirements, improved underserved community access to nature, help achieve city sustainability and resiliency goals, reduce energy costs, and reduce the carbon footprint, promote individual and community wellness, and promote livability in a green, healthy, and bird-friendly city. And so we've been meeting since October, and we did a lot of work in October where we had our initial stakeholder survey where we tried to identify all the work that all these different agencies and organizations and NGOs are doing in and around the Nashville area. So we took that information, developed an initial draft agenda. And then after we set out that initial bird agenda, we brought all these people into a meeting so we can talk about and really define the goals, objectives, and action items and different responsibilities for all the different partners as we move forward. And then we updated the draft after that in December. And like I mentioned, tomorrow we'll be submitting the draft proposal to the Fish and Wildlife Service and hoping to hear back in spring of 2023 whether it's approved or not. And then we have, if it is approved, we have an event on May 12th, 23, and that's a World Migratory Bird Day, where we'll just be celebrating the designation and then getting all the stakeholders back together. And from then, we'll just be working and continuing to address all the action items that we identified in the plan. So with that, I can answer any questions or comments if you all have any.
Commissioner Butt.
Thank you for that information. My question, I guess, twofold. You weren't showing that picture downtown of all purple martins. That was just different. Is that all purple martins downtown, or is that different birds?
Those were mainly like 99% purple martins. There are some starlings down there. But
Okay, that's interesting. So they're nesting down there?
they're roosting down there.
Or roosting?
Right. So they nest in those gourds that I showed you a picture of, and then they congregate in these areas and they'll roost before they go on migration down to South America. So they'll spend about a month in those locations. And
Okay. Well, I have several martins that come yearly to my place. You know, they usually come sometime in March and leave late July or August. So
yeah, that's right.
Is there any data research been done for HPAI or LPAI that's affecting the decline of certain birds? Do we know that some birds are subject to infection by avian influenza more than others? Or is it the overrun of some birds versus others? Is habitat, or do you have that information?
I mean, I don't specifically have that information, but I know that there's veterinarians and wildlife disease programs that are specifically looking at HPAI AI and its occurrence in waterfowl, poultry. It's been showing up in raptors, bald eagles have taken a big impact, black vultures in Tennessee as well.
I was wondering if U.S. Fish and Wildlife may have, APHIS division of USDA might have that information. And the ducks don't seem to be affected as much because in migration, they don't stop over a whole lot except one place or two. And so I wondered if we had any information to indicate certain birds that are on decline more so than others.
Yeah, and I'd probably defer to Dr. Dan Grove to give a report on the HPAI and its prevalence in Tennessee.
Yeah, I'd be interested in knowing the health issues as well. That was one of the questions I had. The other issue is with so many birds coming to the urban populations. I've read some of the health issues about, obviously, when geese take over a golf club and housing development, there's obviously some pretty tough conversations to have with the homeowners when geese are tearing up their backyard. I apologize for being 5 minutes late, so you may have already covered this, but one of the questions I always like to ask on something that seems so wonderful, and this does seem like an easy thing to do, give me 2 reasons why we shouldn't do it.
Why we shouldn't?
Why we shouldn't do it.
That's a really good question. Well, I mean, I can tell you why we should.
I understand, but this is all, we got all rainbow and unicorn. This seems great. Everybody rushes to do this. World Bird Day, yay. There's no reason we shouldn't do it. No downside whatsoever. Nobody's going to be upset at this.
Well, I mean, I guess there could be issues along with, how we approach bird collisions, how we address hazard issues in the cities.
Is there anything in the treaty that would prevent that? Like, I know we got some pilots on the commission, and taking off at an airport, we always have to worry about big flocks of birds and birds hanging out there by the airports. We do our thing. Anything preventing from doing any of those type things to keep birds away?
Oh, I mean, the USDA Wildlife Service is solely responsible for that.
Okay.
And they do a lot of work at the airports.
Sorry to ask you tough questions. I was a little hungry, so that happens
No,
sometimes
that's a
when I
good
get
question,
hungry.
and I haven't thought about it from that perspective. So,
What is the primary intent for having a bird treaty like that? I mean, with so many starlings and blackbirds and having in urban trees and when they decide in the fall just to cover up the local trees and everything, I mean, what are you hoping to accomplish is, I guess, my question.
well, I think the purpose is we're all working in these silos, and so I mean, there's 70 different organizations that are working in Nashville and doing different things, and so if we can communicate, align our objectives, goals, and action items, and work together, I mean, we can be a lot more efficient in addressing these.
I know from an agency standpoint that our focus and commitment to habitat is benefiting all types of songbirds and different warblers and finches and everything else. So if we're drawing those to the country and they're a nuisance in the cities, I just wonder what your objective was there. I mean, are you trying to identify different types of birds that benefit cities, or what are you? I guess that's my question.
Yeah, I mean, mainly these urban areas are huge for migration for a lot of these species, and so birds are coming through. There's a whole Lights Out program that was just signed by the mayor's office. I think it was a few years ago for businesses to turn off their lights so the birds aren't continuing to circle and then run into buildings. Window collisions are a big issue. So, I mean, we're losing a substantial amount of birds during migration in these urban areas. And if we can just work to reduce some of these hazards, I think that we can start to put a dent in that billion bird loss, because we at least have to try and stabilize the trend at some point.
If you could figure out how we could eliminate the cormorant on our major rivers, you'd be doing great.
This kind of thing typically means that there's money available. Is that part of the process that Fish and Wildlife has grant money that the city can take advantage of, or that whoever TWRA may can get some grant money to do some things? So
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Cox. I meant to bring that up and I failed to, but this also, once you have this designation, then you're able to get a priority for funding through the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation. And so that's one of the benefits that we'd have that would give you a priority for those types of money, and especially for some of these programs for the NGO agencies and educational programs that are going on in the city. And really trying to get the kids outdoors. I mean, what's one thing that it's really important to me is trying to get some of these kids out from out of the city and out in the wilderness, so they're even knowledge about conserving these species and what bird species are even occurring.
I've got last question. As a car wash owner, I love lots of birds flying around the city. That's great. Have we talked to the city about all the urban birds and sanitation and cleaning up the sidewalks and cleaning up the buildings? And is that a big major concern of theirs?
Yeah, I mean, they're a part of the team, and
Yeah.
so
Good. Part of the conversation.
yeah,
Okay.
no, they've been involved with every.
So you're saying the purple martins have overrun the pigeons and taken a roost in the town?
Well, I mean, since this roost has happened, the trees have been cut down, so they've had to find another roost down in and around Nashville. But
So what, I know bird treaties and U.S. Fish and Wildlife, I really don't agree with them with the TWRA on setting our duck seasons, and I'd like to get out of that treaty. But what does this lock us into as far as this?
oh, it's non-binding, voluntary. I mean,
Non-binding, voluntary, doesn't lock us down to anything for 5 years or anything like that.
well, I think for us, I mean, we're already doing great work on our WMAs, and we just be responsible for doing some reporting every other year. I mean, Tennessee state parks and natural areas are also participating in this effort. And so I don't think it'd be much more that we would actually have to do.
Monty, do you want to put blinds up for him?
Bonnie's your man to take care of it.
Just checking.
be in person. Did you really just say you want to get out of North American waterfowl management plan? Did you just say that?
Yes, I did. That's exactly what I said. If we could get out of it, we could set our seasons and have more splits next year and have 3 opening days rather than 2. And we wouldn't open, but anyway, we'll talk about that
Said the
later.
word blinds. That was it. Okay. Any more questions?
Lord, have mercy.
All righty. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And
Mr.
I'm
Monty.
happy to forward around the finalized plan to anyone who wants that.
Okay. Thank you so much. At this time, I'd like to call on Chairman Bill Cox with the Budget Committee.
All right, I guess we got Mr. Tarkington.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today, I'm reporting on the month of December of 2022. And there should be a 2-pager if you're looking at the hard copy, or on your laptops, it'll look similar to the screen. On the boating side of the fund, the boat registration income through December is approximately $233,000.
Change the slide.
I'm sorry, next slide. Or do I do?
There we go.
Okay. Apologize. On the right side, you can see we're $233,000 behind our projection thus far through December. On income, on the expense side of the budget, we have spent approximately 30% of the annual allotment.
Ken, before you leave that, what was the actual for the previous year? Not the budgeted amount. What was the actual? Do you know?
Well, I'm trying to think.
Up or down from the actual from last year?
We're about 13% behind. I estimated the projection this year less than what we collected last year. Our collections are about 13%. Actual collections are about 13% behind where they were this time last year.
Does that typically go up in the spring after the boat show
does.
or increase? Do we make up territory after in the spring or?
Make up some. I don't know that we'll do it this year. December and January are pretty low income years for boating. But the March through the end of June, they'll pick back up.
Yeah, there we go. Kim, would this have anything to do? I know at our last meeting, we talked about the boating registration was way down. Would this have anything to do with, when COVID hit and everybody went out and their brother went out and bought a boat, if they registered that boat for 3 years back then, would that have anything to do with this number being down?
I think it does. Does it have the whole amount? I don't know, but you can register, as you're well aware, for 1, 2, or 3 years. Depending on what they did at that time, we could be getting towards the end of that cycle. I think the activity is there. It may just be that they're out there recreating on either last year's 2-year, 3-year, or the year before that 2-year, 3-year renewal. Could very well be. Any other questions on boating? Next slide. On the wildlife side, again through December, the collections are 150,000 above what the projection was in license income. On the expense to percent of expense to budget is approximately 35% through December. Next slide. Wetlands acquisition, we have approximately 18.9 million as a balance. And the last slide we have is our invested funds with our treasury reserve balances. And as you can see, the SPIF rate increased again by about 0.25% since the prior month to 3.89%. Any questions or comments?
So the SPIF interest rate that you're showing at the bottom, what period of time is that? What's the cutoff of that? Is that a month ago?
That's December. January's is 4.25.
I'll say it's higher than that now. I just wonder what you're picking up.
So next month, when I report on January, it'll be 4.25.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Anybody have any questions?
Mr. Chairman, if it's okay, I'd like to request that Randy Tarkington come and talk to you about
Okay.
salary adjustments.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
We've got word from DOHR about salaries, and Randy's going to talk to us, and then Frank's going to make a presentation, a short presentation.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I wanted to talk to you for a minute about the wildlife pay plan market adjustment. Back in November of 2022, the state did a market adjustment for all the general pay plan classes. That's when it was implemented in November. Now, just to give you a little background, a market adjustment is not an across-the-board pay increase. It's not a salary increase. It's an adjustment to the range for different classifications, and it takes into account what the ranges are for similar classifications in the workforce around us. So this market adjustment did not include the wildlife-specific job classifications, of which for our agency, that's 600 of our 747 positions. So following the market adjustment, the wildlife classifications ended up out of line with other state similar titles and other state agencies, which was going forward make it very difficult for us to continue to compete for applicants. The agency leadership at that point decided that it was necessary to propose that we do our own market adjustment. So we reached out to DOHR and FNA and proposed that we do this market adjustment ourselves, the study, and both agencies have approved that for us. What I did was I conducted a study of every classification in the wildlife pay plan. I compared it to similar jobs in other agencies and state government. I looked at the minimum qualifications to apply for the job, the duties for the job, and the responsibility level of each job within each job series. Then I matched those jobs up to the similar jobs in state government and aligned our wildlife pay plan with the new salary ranges that were approved for those other state classifications. I rebuilt our 11-step wildlife pay plan for all of our job classifications. And then I evaluated each employee individually to see where their salary falls in comparison to the current range or the proposed range that I had built in the new plan. Now, I want to reiterate, this is a market adjustment. This is not an across-the-board pay raise. That means that not everybody is getting a huge adjustment from this proposal. For any employee who falls below the minimum of the new range, they will be brought up to the first step on the range. For all other employees who are already within the range for their job classification, they will be moved to the closest step above where their current salary is. And then going forward, every job classification now has an additional 6 to 8 steps within the range. What that means for our staff is wherever they land on the new pay scale, each July when the statutory steps come out, they'll be eligible for another step for an additional 6 to 8 years, depending on which job classification they're in. Now, this is hugely beneficial because right now we have 256 of our 535 wildlife employees who are currently topped out, which means they're no longer eligible for a step without this proposal. So now they'll have steps. This was going to result long-term in the agency being able to be more competitive for applicants. It's going to provide a better living wage for our employees, especially for those on the lower end of the different job classification salaries. And it's also going to add these additional steps for our topped out employees. At this time, the expected implementation date is March 16th. Do you guys have any questions?
Any question? I would like to express my appreciation to the hard work that you guys do. HR has got to be the hardest job in the world. And I know this was a Herculean task to take all this and do this and work it with downtown and all, and this has turned out to be, you know, something that I think we can take care of, and it's certainly better than the first projections that we saw. So I really appreciate your hard work and your staff and everybody, Jason and everybody working hard on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Frank. Oh, I'm sorry. You got a question?
I'm not on that committee, but just one question. I know at one point in time, we were talking about the tech positions. We were looking at a salary boost for those. Randy, does this include those?
It does.
Okay.
It does. And I think they'll be happy when they see where they land.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for all your hard work on this, Randy, and your team. I know it's been a
Absolutely.
lot, so thank you for doing that.
Now I'll turn it over to Frank for some more specifics.
Okay, advance the slides here. So to fund the wildlife pay plan salary adjustments for FY23, we only have 4 months left of FY23. The annual cost is $3.2 million, but for 4 months worth of that, we were requesting $1,070,000 to cover that piece of it for FY23. For FY24 and recurring years after, we need the full $3.2 million to cover the salary adjustment, plus the additional. Now remember, we already have a step built into our budget for those staff members that were going to be eligible. To get from that point to the new 4.5% increase, we only need $0.52 million. So for a total of $3,720,000 for FY24 will fund the wildlife pay plan going forward.
So you need
Requesting a
we
budget
need-
expansion for this.
We have two things here. We want to adjust the 23 budget for the $1,070,000.
Yes, sir.
Does anybody have any questions for clarification for anybody on the commission? For Frank? I need to entertain a motion to approve the FY 23 budget expansion of $1,070,000.
So moved.
Second.
Any more discussion? On the budget committee only voting, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? I'll entertain a motion for the FY 24 for $3,720,000. Somebody give me a motion. Second.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Where do we look to find that money, Frank?
We're pursuing a couple of sources now. One, we have the lifetime license endowment fund that by law, we will be investing, and we'll have opportunity to get funds from that once we start to get some proceeds, some income from that. We're hoping to get about $4 million a year from that conservatively with the new investment strategy. So that is one place. We're also interested in being able to use our real-time sales of lifetime licenses going forward, and rather than putting them in the endowment. On average, that's another $3.5 million. So if either of those were to come through, both of those require change of statute. Well, the second one does. We can get it with both of them for sure.
So our expectations for that are much better now than they were 4 months ago.
Especially since our estimate has dropped considerably. Yeah,
Thank you.
Any further questions? Budget committee, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
thank you, Chairman.
I think that's all we've got, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Cox. I'd like to call on Chief Jenifer Wisniewski, retention, reactivation, and recruitment.
All right, we're going to watch a quick video, and then we've got a partner organization that's going to come up and recognize the agency.
Hello, it's Jason here for the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency and host of Tennessee Wildcast. First off, thank you. Yes, you, for being a steward of conservation. Folks like you that like to get outdoors, hunt, fish, or target shoot are primary funders of wildlife, fish, and land conservation in America. TWRA couldn't do what we do without your support, so thanks again. People that enjoy nature and the outdoors want to keep the environment clean, and that's why we are partnering with the Outdoor Stewards of Conservation Foundation and their Fill a Bag program to distribute these biodegradable bags. We're asking you to take this bag with you while you're out enjoying the outdoors, and if you come across an old bottle or any type of trash, do everyone a favor, take the bag out and take the trash out of the woods and water. Post a photo of you with your bag of trash to your social media accounts to show others who the true stewards of conservation are. Be sure to use hashtag TNTrophyTrash for a chance to win some cool swag from TWRA. Thanks again for being a steward of conservation, and remember, no one is pro-litter. Fill a bag while you fill your tag.
Thanks, Jason, for that awesome video. And we have a friend and partner, Jim Kirkarudo, here from the Outdoor Stewards of Conservation, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that exists to support the wonderful work that we do and every other state agency in conservation. Jim.
Right. Thank you very much. And I appreciate the time today. Oh, it's heavy. Oh, excuse me. Now you can't see me, can you? We'll just put this over here. So as Jenifer mentioned, Jim Kirkarudo, Executive Director with Outdoor Stewards of Conservation. Been very fortunate for the past 15 years to work in the outdoor industry. Spent 11 years with the National Shooting Sports Foundation, conducting research, being a liaison between the state agencies and the industry, and building programs that would help increase participation across the board. Learned a lot over those 11 years. One of the things I realized is that there's a huge similarity between state agencies and the goals of the industry. We want to see more people outdoors. We want to sell more products. We want to see those excise taxes increase and get more people outside enjoying hunting, fishing, target shooting. we know that there's 60 million active hunters, anglers, and target shooters out there that spend 1.2 billion days outside every year. So there's really not a cohort that's bigger or better being outside in nature and having the opportunity to get outside. And if they see a piece of trash, they can, bring it out of the woods and waters with them. And that's why Outdoor Stewards built this program called Fill a Bag While Filling Your Tag. We have worked with many state agencies over the past couple of years, a lot of industry partners as well. But, some folks get it and some folks don't. And I can tell you, TWRA gets it. They are a leader in conservation. They're a leader in recruitment. And I'm honored to work with them and support some of their efforts that they're doing. And for all the work that they do, we wanted to recognize them. So Executive Director, if we could hand you over a little award here, and thank you for being the State Agency Partner of the Year, Conservation Partner of the Year. Okay, good. You know what? I will say, one more thing that again, how you guys get it. Again, we want to work with industry and agency. Another one of the programs on top of the Fill a Bag program that we have at Outdoor Stewards is connecting with conservation. And this is where we want to tie industry and agency together. So yesterday, about 10 folks from TWRA visited Torrey Industries, which is a manufacturer of AR-15 products based in Clarksville. And we, the good folks at the TWRA's communication staff filmed an episode of Tennessee Wildcast. I believe that's coming out in a couple of weeks. So make sure you listen in on that and see what the folks at Torrey Industries said about leaving their home of Massachusetts for 20 years and coming to Tennessee just this past year. So you guys are doing a lot of things right. Keep up the good work, and thanks again. All right.
Okay, we'll keep up this wonderful R3 discussion. So it's hard to believe that it has been almost a year since there were some changes in outreach and communications, and we got to bring on a phenomenal new talent. Emily Buck is our communications director, and I got to take a lot of stuff off of my plate and focus more on R3 and marketing. So I know we switched to 365 licenses, but this is the last year that we can kind of look at our numbers based on a license year. And I reached out to Susie and made sure this is okay with her ahead of time, but these are license year numbers. So ending the end of February. And if you look at our total revenue, 2022, if we take the pandemic out of it, we are up from 2019. So I think that that's important to point out that we are retaining some of this bump that we saw through COVID. So we have about a 75% customer retention rate from year to year, sometimes as high as 80, sometimes as low as 70, but all in all, we are losing a lot of customers every year. So this is the new customers from the last 4 years. Total 750,000 new customers. Recruitment is not our problem. If all 750,000 of those people were buying licenses every year, no, recruitment's not our problem. Our problem is retention. So we have done what we could to try to retain these through some marketing techniques. But I did want to kind of break these numbers down, just so you saw kind of trends in different licenses. So this is resident hunting. The big blue bar is our basic combo. So you can see 300,000 of those pretty much every year. You could see the downward trend right before COVID. You see the COVID bump. Now look down at the orange. That's people that buy a big game supplemental. down. But you see the gray, that's people that buy our sportsman's license. That's steadily increasing every year. I think we're converting people from buying that supplemental into buying a sportsman's license. And then the yellow bar you see is our junior hunt trap fish, which is fairly stable. Resident fishing, blue bar, same bar as the previous slide because we sell a combo. Then you look at the orange, and that is the one-day fish, no trout. Steadily declining, but a bright spot, Brandon Simcox, you'll like this, trout. People buying that trout supplemental permit is increased every year for the last 4 years. And then the county residence license is going down. But all in all, these are resident annual privileges. They're fairly stable. There's some decreases in some of it, but some bright spots. Now let's talk about, well, if you look at non-residents altogether, the orange part is hunting. The blue part is fishing. Fishing is king in Tennessee. Sorry, Joe staff, but fishing is king for non-residents. There's tons of non-residents flocking to our state, but the hunting part is also growing. If you look at 18-19, that orange part is about 30,000 people. 22-23 is 40,000. So that's 10,000 more people that came to Tennessee to go hunting. Tier 2 blinds, maybe? I don't know. Top items sold. Number 1 is combo, of course. The number 2 and number 3 things that we sell as an agency, a hard card, totally optional. You don't need it. It's an extra charge voluntarily. The third thing, donation roundup, total optional. We have good-hearted people that buy hunting and fishing licenses, and they always choose to round up. So just when you're thinking about license prices and price sensitivity, know that the number 2 and 3 thing that we sell as an agency are total voluntary charges. So that's always stuck out to me. And as I go into talking about some of these marketing tactics, know that $1 off of every one of those hard cards that we sell go to pay for these efforts that we're doing in marketing. Oh, and this is fascinating. So this is a heat map of zip codes of license buyers. So you see light colors, that's where there's a lower population of license buyers. The darker green is the highest concentration of license buyers. So there's more license holders in Columbia and Clarksville than anywhere in the state. Yes, you can do your victory lap, Stan. But you see how much opportunity there is. If you think about like these building at signature lakes that are coming on that are going to be in these communities that we can absolutely sell those features, and we've just got a lot of opportunity. So a new mentor of mine, Frank, has told me, don't always talk about things in money. So I challenged myself to talk about things in number of people. So through marketing last year, 153,776 people bought a license directly tied to that marketing tactic. If you want to translate that to dollars, last year it was $4.5 million that we raised through marketing. This year it's a little over $6.5 million. So yay. We do this through email. I won't bore you with all the emails that we do, but we do a ton of emailing. We also text. We do abandoned cart emailing, an onboard series when you buy your first license or your third license, or a sportsman's versus a basic combo. We do a happy birthday message, and we do targeted email efforts throughout the year. Here were 3 of the biggest ones from last year. So we try to keep the conversation going with somebody that's purchased a license so that we're sending them wonderful resources like Wildcast and other things that the agency produces throughout the year. So that we are continually talking to them about, hey, go out, go fishing. Hey, now's the time, spring turkey season is about to start, that kind of thing. We've been doing Facebook, Instagram, Meta ads for many years now. Last year, we ran 75 different creatives on the 2 platforms, targeted to different segments. And if you ever want to get in the nitty gritty with me about how we target and what we target and who we target, I'll be glad to talk for hours about it. But I wanted to feature this one ad. This is Brandon Simcox's wife, who appropriately is promoting trout in Tennessee. And this ad on Facebook, we served it up to people that were likely to want to trout fish, that live close by those areas, but that did not have a trout stamp. And for every dollar we spent on that ad, we returned $17.20. So, I mean, I just thought that that was pretty phenomenal. But Facebook, Instagram is by far our longest running paid ad effort. And we don't do paid ad efforts until you've been lapsed for at least 10 months. So we try to get you with the text and email, all of those freebies. I say freebies, it still costs money, but it's not extra paid money. So, you know, we do these things and it really does produce. So this past year, we got to try some new tactics, and this is one of them. Podcast and streaming. Podcasts are huge. I don't know if everybody on the commission loves a podcast or not, but they are really a huge place that you can reach people and you can target people based on their listening preferences and other things. There's psychographic networks. I mean, Big Brother is out there if y'all don't know it. But I thought I'd play a few of these. You might recognize this voice.
One of the best things about having kids is grandkids. And one of the best ways to get them outdoors is to take them fishing. It will open up a whole new world of conversation and wonder. It's cheap and easy to get started. For more information and instructional videos to get you going, visit tnwildlife.org. Purchase your license at gooutdoorstennessee.com.
So with our Big Brother tracking, we know that we got 2,074 people to buy a license with that podcast spot. Now we'll do another one.
Get lost and find adventure fishing in Tennessee. Fishing history on these waters makes for a learning escape where you can emulate the adventures of Daniel Boone or learn about bluegrass while trout fishing the Smokies. Even fish a lake created by an earthquake from where the Mississippi River ran backwards at Reelfoot Lake. The history of our waters runs deep. All you need to explore them is your fishing license. Get one online at gooutdoorstennessee.com. That's gooutdoorstennessee.com.
So that was aimed at a male segment that was a little younger. And, you know, we know that we got 1,068 of them to buy a license from that.
The sound of pure
Here's
joy
moms.
when your kid has just caught her first fish, that gigantic ear-to-ear smile. It's a captured memory that will last a lifetime. Places to fish abound on Tennessee's beautiful lakes and rivers, and now is the perfect time to step away from the screens and rediscover this super fun and inexpensive outdoor family activity. Getting started is easy. Google a place to fish near you, and before you go, get your fishing license at gooutdoorstennessee.com. That's gooutdoorstennessee.com.
And then we also this fall tried a hunting ad. So we've talked about fishing on lots of radio spots for years. It's harder to get somebody to want to go hunting. So we thought we'd try a little experiment. And you'll notice this is fewer conversions, but more revenue. And that's just because of the prices of licenses. But
Yes, we get up at 4 a.m. and sometimes it is cold hiking through the woods to our spot. Being there when the world wakes up is magical. I love hunting and there's nowhere on earth I'd rather be. When was the last time you dusted off the gear for an outdoor adventure? The Tennessee woods are calling you with over 1 million acres of public land nearby to explore. All you need to hunt in Tennessee is to take a free online hunter education course and your hunting license. Get it all at gooutdoorstennessee.com. gooutdoorstennessee.com.
So that one was aimed at people that had had a license before, but had not purchased one in a couple of years to try to get them to dust off that hunting gear and get back out there. And we got 759 of them to do just that. So let's talk about another cool thing that we have, the app. I hope all of you have the TWRA On The Go app. We started placing ads to download the app to get more people to own the app and use it. So last year, we had 60,000 active users on the app. And this year, we're up to over 100,000 active monthly users. We get to send those app users push notifications that look like this image here, and that's my little girl, of different messages that we want to send out throughout the year. So anything from the raffle to turkey season's about to open to don't forget to get your deer checked, or any number of different messages that we are right there on the front screen of the thing that people check on the most throughout the day. So this is driving revenue, this is driving conversions, and I thought this was a super interesting statistic. Since the beginning of the app, we've had 5.7 million active monthly users. So 5.7 people have used it during a month. So I thought that was pretty cool. Snapchat. Anybody know Snapchat? Yeah. Okay. So we tried Snapchat last year. We paid for 1.7 million impressions and we got 4,263 people to swipe. But here's the ad.
Hunting provides more than adventure and fun with friends. It conserves wilderness and habitat and sources good natural food. Become part of nature. Gather your own food. Be a hunter. Be a conservationist.
So you can tell that this is to a different target audience. It's not to any of us in this room. These ads were developed, tested, and targeted to people that are Gen Z and younger millennials. And that's who they were targeted at. They're not going to motivate any probably person in this room to maybe buy a license or try anything new, but they have been tested and proven to work on that audience. So we also did TikTok. I don't know that we will do TikTok much going forward because there's some limitations of state government and government agencies on TikTok at all. There may be security threats. We don't know, but we did TikTok last year.
Without hunters, there would be less protection for wildlife and wild places. 100% of hunting license sales goes directly to wildlife conservation. Thank you, hunters. Get your license. Be a hunter. Be a conservationist.
So that drove 13,812 clicks that had never clicked on our website before to come to our website. Another thing, anybody know what Tinder is? Dating app? Okay, so Tinder is a dating app. And on Tinder, we thought fishing would make a really great first date. Not being catfished, but going fishing. So this past year, we did an experiment and it actually worked out very well. We had really great engagement rates and we said, take your first date and go fishing and don't do it without a license and don't get caught without a license on your profile and that kind of thing. So, and these things, I mean, they're new, they're kind of off the wall tactics, but they're tried and they're getting people into fishing. And I think fishing is the gateway. You couldn't go hunting on a first date, maybe, but fishing for sure. We also did over the top or OTT television, which is streaming. Everybody watch Hulu, Netflix, any of those things, Pluto, Amazon, Freebie, all those. I think everybody has cut the cord at this point and do Apple TV and all those things. So we selected target audiences through OTT that we wanted to target. And we had 10 million total delivered impressions for our fall campaign. Again, if you ever want to talk targets and psychographic networks and that kind of thing, I'd be glad to sit down and talk to you about why I choose the things to do. But we saw an 11% increase in our web traffic over the span of this campaign. And we had 2,000 proven conversions in a household. This is how the Big Brother tracks you there. So your Wi-Fi router, we know what's played on your TV, and we know if somebody on that same Wi-Fi connection also went to our website and bought a license on your phone or on something else that was hooked up to that Wi-Fi router. But it's less trustworthy. It's not as clean tracking like click to click to click. But all in all, 11% increase in traffic. That's new traffic. I'll take it. And it's a really kind of cool experiment. And we also did Amazon OTT, but there was a lot of difficulty there with showing firearms because Amazon, maybe they don't let any firearms be shown. So it's hard to talk about hunting if you can't show a firearm. So we may not do them going forward, but I'll let you see a few of these.
When you go to the grocery store, you're always looking for the labels like cage-free, locally sourced, grass-fed, non-GMO. And guess what? You're going to pay a markup for it. When instead, you could go out to nature's grocery store where you see the creature that is fully organic. Being conscious of what you eat is more than just like counting calories. It's being conscious of what it is, what it had before it got onto your dinner plate. Just to know, like, if I were to ever be stuck out somewhere that I could survive, that I have the capabilities, the strength, the willpower to get through it.
Well, that was pretty much it for that one. We'll skip to the next one and see if it'll go. Well, Zach, I don't know. It's spinning.
Talk about money on Tinder.
Yeah. You're going to get me in trouble. Does anybody need a snack before they start asking me hard questions? How about that?
Monty didn't need a break.
Okay. We're just going to try to skip forward, but it won't go. Okay, it's locked up. Well, the things that I was going to talk about next is cool other R3 things that we're doing. So we're doing the e-store. So last year we had over 12,000 people buy hats, water bottles, you name it, from our e-store, which was a 15% increase from the year before. And we made like $250,000 in revenue off of that. And we're using that money to support youth programs in the outdoors and support our awesome officers and all of their efforts that they do, and our regional coordinators and the programs that we do as an agency that are introducing children to the outdoors. So I think that that's a really important thing to point out, that this e-store is doing phenomenal supporting those programs. And then the last thing is grants. So we have done a ton with giving grants to other organizations. We've got 5 universities that we've worked with to plant outdoor recreation programs on their campus. UT Martin's one of them, ETSU, MTSU, Tennessee Tech. And we're looking to grow that list by as many as we can in the next couple of years. And when I say plant a program, we buy the equipment, we buy the accessories that they need. We make sure that that person that is doing the program is trained up on our system so that they can put their people in our system so that we can track effectiveness of the program over the lifetime of the program. And then we make sure that we set them up for success financially so that they can get folks out there. And it's already been proving return on investments. And then, we also have, Mike Butler sitting here. We have wonderful partnership with them to be able to put on the Hunting and Fishing Academy and so many other great grants that we give out that I would just wanted to highlight with R3. And then, oh, cool, it came back. I can hit my grants list maybe, because I can't remember them all. There's gonna be somebody I leave out. Perfect. 4-H UT Extension is another really cool one that's coming on board, and we're going to get to really support their shooting sports programs this year and next. The National Deer Alliance, Artemis. So the National Wildlife Federation has a whole program that supports women hunting, and we got to support their grant. So they're leasing land in Tennessee to support women that are new in the sport of hunting. And then Outdoor Women of Nashville is a really cool program that they have 30,000 women that are networked into this community that love to go outdoors. And we're just trying to support good people doing good things to get people outdoors. And then grants received. So Jason and Frank and everybody in the director's office supports everything that I do and we do as an agency to market so well. But I do go outside and try to find money where I can to help support these programs. So in the last 2 years, we've gotten $75,000 from RBFF, and we've gotten $175 from multi-state conservation grants last year, and we'll get another $185,000 this year for multi-state conservation grants to do like these TikTok ad campaigns and Snapchat things. So these one-off things that I'm trying, I'm not gambling with agency money necessarily. I'm taking grants with other states and doing these types of things. And that's it. Questions?
I failed to mention Chairman McLaren about R3, so you get to do all the questions.
Any questions for R3? Monty?
Hey, just one. Thank you for an awesome job that you do, number one. And number two, thank you for the $50,000 grant that you got at the University of Tennessee at Martin. So thank you.
Yeah, glad to do it.
Stan?
I also want to thank you for all of that great information. But I have a question. If you're looking at the grant screen, from an audit standpoint, are we meticulous in our follow-up and our sub-recipients and following up and being accountable and documenting what we're doing to make sure that those grants are being used appropriately?
Yes.
Because going forward, that's very important.
Absolutely.
For the agency.
And with all of the grants that are received, I don't run this money through the agency. I run it through partner organizations like WMI that'll get the grant from Fish and Wildlife Service, and then they pay it directly to a marketing firm on our behalf. So that's how those funds work.
Yeah, Jennifer, thank you. On the all the pie chart or the graphs you showed,
you talked about all the different categories and some were coming up, some were coming. You never mentioned lifetime.
Lifetime, we have sold 128,000 lifetime licenses in the last 10 years. And today we stand about 450,000 lifetime license holders as the state.
But I'm just talking about year over year.
Yeah, it's just going to look like this because that's
one of
what
the things
lifetime
Frank
licenses do. They
mentioned
never
is
lapse.
We've heard the number 3.5 million on average a year.
That's revenue. Yes.
I understand.
Yeah.
Not-
But number of people, you know, if we're talking about number of people, it's over 400,000 people that have some sort of lifetime license. A lot of those are senior lifetime license, not sportsman's lifetime license, but still, that's.
Well, my question was, what's the number? How is it tracking? Is it staying pretty consistent every year? Is it?
Yes.
Is it moving?
Well, when we changed the price,
I know we went up on the juvenile.
there was a huge year. Susie can speak better to that, but everybody and their mama got their application for their under 2-year-old that year. That was like, what, 10,000 lifetimes that were infant in that year. It's a huge number.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
With that being said about the lifetime, when you mentioned seniors, I've been the recipient of that for the last number of years, but with everything else being ages being raised, is our lifetime 65 age when it?
I don't know that that's a political battle that the agency really wants to fight to raise the age of the senior citizen license.
You know, if we raise it 2 years, then look at the additional revenue we get. And most of the people who have been buying license all that long, I mean, I'd buy a license 2 extra years before I got a lifetime. So, you know,
I would argue, well, not argue, I would point this out for our senior license holders. They are like the group that'll buy raffle tickets, do extra things to support the agency. And, you know, I would like to see us get the extra out of them in that way. And as opposed to go down let's gig you for another $10 and make you mad, in my mind.
very good point. I just thought I'd throw that out.
Rather get $100 out of you for raffle tickets. It's coming up.
Commissioner Dawson?
I love all the things you're doing on social media and all that. I'd be interested in it. I don't know if any other commissioners would be interested in this. Obviously, in my life, I work with data sets and all the time. I would love to have either an R3 subcommittee meeting where we go over the data set, how we use them, where we're using them,
Yes.
where we're getting the list from. I would love to get kind of deeper in those weeds. And one of the questions I first came out of, is this all within the state of Tennessee that we advertise as of today?
No.
Okay, good.
We absolutely reach out to anybody that's a non-resident that has lapsed, that has come here, that we have their data. We leverage that, and we use lookalike audiences to try to get people that look like them to come to our state.
So that's for lapse license. Have we done any marketing to people that's in that group that maybe live in Southern Kentucky or Eastern Arkansas or Northern Mississippi and go after them and just straight up marketing?
Yeah, on Facebook and through email, we direct market to those types.
I'd be interested in that data as well, because
Sure.
obviously that would pay off well too. But thank you. Great job.
Yeah, thank you.
Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Jenifer, thank you for what you do. Unlike Chip, I'm just dangerous enough to know enough about this. So, but I do, like he said, I would be very interested to kind of dig in a little bit more. But it does look like you guys are making a lot of strides in your social media campaigns.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny, not every organization is blessed with, we have literally the height, weight, eye color, social security number, home address, and email address of every single license buyer for the last 10 years. So it's a huge data set that we have to pull from. So we're very blessed and data rich.
Yeah. Chris and I have that same information on voters.
Exactly. But having said that, you know, it's the future. I sit on another board on a nonprofit, and I keep on pushing them about how important it is to reach out to, you know, new people and new groups and diversity. It just, it helps in all that. So thank you.
Absolutely. And another important thing that we do, we exclude anybody that has a license. So we are consistently scrubbing all of these lists and if you've got a license, you shouldn't be seeing an ad. We don't want to pay anything for you to see an ad if you've already got a license. So, you know, we use it on both sides for targeting and excluding.
So Jenifer, you said you had all that data. Just in light of some changes I've had in the last year, can we go in and change my weight?
Deal.
Commissioner Cox.
Jenifer, do we still partner with Brant to do some mining and
We do.
what are we paying them a year?
We don't pay them to do any of our marketing. So part of the way that the hard cards are set up is they get $1 off of it for marketing, and we get, or for, I don't really know how they get their $1 and we get our $1. We decided to use our $1 for marketing, and they use their $1, however that is. But part of that is data mining and all of that.
Right. So when we started that with them, the agreement was, I thought we supplemented it a little bit. It was like $150,000 or something that they,
Susie,
from the hard card or whatever, when we first started this, and they were going to return, and it worked really well. But I just wonder if we don't supplement it. They just take the $1 off the hard card.
So we actually, we fund our marketing fund through two ways. Part of our contract is we pay Brant $170,000 throughout the year for our marketing directly from the agency as part of the contract. And then in addition to that, every $1 from the hard card does go into a marketing fund for us in addition to that $170,000 every year.
And you keep up to see that we're getting a return more than the 100 that we're investing.
That's my partnership with Jenifer. Jenifer and I keep up with that. Yes, sir.
Well, I was gonna say, I forgot about that. That's our Facebook ad money. So all of that money goes to our Facebook ad spend, so that we as an agency don't have to put that much money into Facebook, because it's way more hoops for us to jump through to do that as a state agency than for them to do that. So that's the way that we do that part of our marketing.
Right. The agency started down the retention and recruitment in 2005. It started working on it, did a lot of good work, but it looks like to me that when you came on board, it really took a turn, and you and everybody in here that works on it. So it's really, y'all are doing
team.
great.
It's
It
team.
is. Thank you. You're doing great.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I had two things. First off, I wanted to say I have already been a recipient of one of the litter bags that was coming through our partner with Mid-South Shooting Sports.
Yes.
I made an order the other day, and there was a bag inside, so that was nice to see that that's working. Also, do you want to hit any high points, or just, I guess, just maybe notify that we did have a strategic plan meeting for Buffalo Ridge for a couple of days last week, and look forward to seeing some recommendations to come back through that
very
process.
fruitful meeting. It was we had all the right people there. We had all the right discussions, and I think we're going to have an excellent plan and direction for that property coming out of this.
Is there anything in anybody else? Anybody in the public? Our three questions. Yes, sir.
I will say, again, TWRA is leading that for work with the industry. In addition to Mid-South Shooter Supply, they're helping supply bags to Torrey Industries. We got a deal coming up with Smoky Mountain Knife Works.
Sport Dog
brands.
I feel like there's another one.
Yeah.
But there's several business partners that are purchasing the bags and putting them in all their orders to make sure that we can make it a big Keep Tennessee Beautiful type campaign.
And that's, again, working together with industry and agencies, we're going to be able to expand that message a lot further than just working together.
Right.
Madam Chairman, I think that concludes the R3 update.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman McLaren. At this time, I'd like to call on Chairman Jimmy Granberry with our Communications Committee.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chairman. I'll save the best for last and call on Daniel Cox to sub for Torrey Grimes and make a presentation on our Code of Ethics policy.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, committee. I know that we are on record having at least one hungry commissioner, so I will try to keep this brief. In the January meeting of this commission, General Counsel Torrey Grimes presented at the request of the committee a draft of the Code of Ethics document for consideration for adoption. During that presentation, Mr. Grimes brought to the commission's attention that there was a large amount of overlap between the conflict of interest document that already existed and the Code of Ethics as it was kind of drafted and proposed. After that discussion, the committee moved to combine those two documents into one controlling and governing document. So in front of each commission member, you should have a copy of that document. And this is the result of the combination of those two things. So to keep in mind, the conflict of interest policy already exists. It's already been approved and accepted by the commission, I think going back as far as the year 2000. And this is just a combination of that document with the Code of Ethics as General Counsel Torrey Grimes presented it last month. So with that, I stand to answer any questions and would ask your approval.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Torrey. If you're listening, this has been a lot of hard work put into this in a really short order of time. And we look forward to combining this document in our new orientation document for new commissioners coming forward. So I take a motion in a second, then we'll have discussion. Second. Second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion or questions? I think everybody got a copy of this in the last week from Torrey, and I'll entertain any questions from the committee at this time, and then we'll open it up for the rest of the commission.
When are you going to ask for them to be signed and taken up?
I'm sorry.
When are we going?
We're going to, the full committee, the full commission will execute it tomorrow, and then it'll go into effect after that.
I know, but when do you want us to sign them and turn them in?
After tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you to our legal staff, Torrey, and that they've done a great job on this. This is needed, and I appreciate all the hard work y'all done to it.
Anybody else on the committee got any questions? What about anybody else on the commission? Seeing none, I'll entertain we got a motion and a second. All those on the committee in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the committee passes, and we'll take it to the full commission tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman Granberry. I want to make sure if there's anybody here from the public that would like to speak, that didn't get a chance to. If there is anybody. Yes, sir. Come on up. Let's make sure we covered everybody. Just state your name and where you're from. And
my name is Michael Jones. I'm a retired professor from the University of Tennessee, professor emeritus, and actually retired in June of this year. So freedom here shortly.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm a little distracted. I do have to say that learning that the TWRA is on Tinder, I was like, am I in the right meeting? I don't know. It's not everybody. Yeah, not okay. Okay. Well, yeah, generally not everybody. Well, I just wanted to speak to you all a moment, and thank you for giving me the opportunity about falconry in Tennessee. We've had some incidences that have brought to light that the current falconry regulations really aren't suitable anymore. And what we're asking for is TWRA to adopt the federal regulations because we believe that they'll be fair, easy to enforce, and protect our resource, which are the raptors that we use for falconry. In November of this year, we had a chance to meet with Executive Director Maxidon, Deputy Director Weir, and Mike Bell. And I think leaving that meeting, we felt that we were pretty confident that they would adopt the federal regulations. So we just wanted to bring that to your attention. And then also, I'd be happy to answer any questions if any commissioners have on falconry.
okay, great. Do we have any questions?
I know more about it now than I did.
I'm sure a lot of you have heard a little bit about falconry over the
Is
last
that the
few months.
same document that the young lady brought?
I believe so. It's 50 CFR 2129.
Okay.
And I think there's some sections at the beginning that she took out just to get rid of a lot of the fluff that's in there. But I believe what she gave you was the federal regulations.
So what you're asking is our agency to line up with the federal regulations on falconry?
Yes. Historically, about 2008, 2009, falconers from across the U.S. and U.S. Fish and Wildlife got together to produce that document because there were some issues previous to that, Operation Falcon and some others that drew the attention that we needed to better regulate falconry. We're a small group. We're about 0.002 or 4% of licensed hunters in the state. But what we're realizing, we have a voice and we want to exercise that voice. So those federal regulations were developed in conjunction with many different people to bring those about. We thought they were fair, and we were expecting that we were going to get those regulations in 2009. But when they came out, they were dramatically different than what we were expecting.
Commissioner Blue, you had a question?
Yeah, I don't have a question, but congratulations on your retirement. One,
Oh, thank
and
you.
two, I would like to go.
Absolutely. I currently fly a Geo Peregrine at ducks. And the scenario will be once I find ducks in a pond, I release the bird. He'll go up about 600, 800 feet. I flush the ducks. He'll come down and hit them pretty hard, either kill them outright in the stoop or break something. And then he whips around, lands on them, finishes the job. It only takes a few minutes, but I would love to have any of you come out. We have falconers that hunt squirrels, ducks, other small game animals, rabbits primarily, but happy to have any of you come out and experience it. It might change your outlook. When I got into falconry, and I know I only have like 3 minutes, when I got into falconry in 1988, I literally sold all my guns because I determined if I was going to be in the field, it was going to be with a bird of prey. I just recently bought, after 35 years, a 12-gauge shotgun, and I've only shot a pellet gun since then. That's how important falconry is to me.
So I'm sure you have a federal duck stamp when you're taking duck.
I do, absolutely. Yeah, we follow all of the regulations. Unfortunately, I'm not hunting ducks this year because of avian influenza. That bird that I have is too valuable, and I don't want to risk it. So.
Another way for you to kill ducks, money.
Oh.
Well, you have to quit illegal shooting time and can't shoot 30 minutes before sunrise or not shoot.
Correct. We follow all of the state regulations, federal regulations. Our duck season, though, is U.S. Fish and Wildlife has allowed us to extend our duck season to the end of February. So when most duck hunters, when most duck hunters
you got for sale for money?
He's a smart man. He's a professor.
Yeah. So I taught exotic.
I think it's a field trip for the commission.
We could arrange that. I taught exotic zoo and wild animal medicine at the University of Tennessee for 30 years. So that's my background.
So, and you only hunt squirrel and rabbit during hunting season.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you follow all the state regulations. But I don't hunt squirrels and rabbits anymore because ducks are my deal, and upland game birds. So,
Commissioner Wood, you had a question or comment?
I just got a quick question. What's the agency's take on changing this to the federal laws, and is that something that we need to address and vote on, or what's our next step on this?
Yes, sir, Commissioner Woods. So we did meet with the Falconry Association, and we are amenable to moving toward what the federal regulation is. So we'll be coming to you all with that in April. We'll have to go through the rulemaking process to change that rule, but we will be presenting that to you all.
Okay.
I have another question as far as reproduction and
I'm sorry. Say that one.
as far as birds, as far as raising birds for sale, and
Sure.
is that a part of the federal regulation?
Yes. So the current TWRA regulations cover falconry, and falconry is just the hunting of prey with trained birds of prey. There are U.S. Fish and Wildlife permits for abatement, for breeding, and for education, and those are separate.
Okay.
And we're hoping to keep those separate.
Okay. Any further questions?
All right.
Well, I
Thank you for your
appreciate you
time.
being here. Thank you
I'll
so
hang out
much.
for a little bit if anybody wants to.
Field trip or buy
yeah.
falcons or
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Buy
Thank
some
you.
birds.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Are we already done? Okay. Any more comments or any announcements, anybody? Anything else? Okay. Well, I guess we're done. 6 o'clock, yes, for the dinner tonight at Travelers Rest.
Be 6 o'clock for the social and 6:30 for supper.
Okay. Hearing no more comments or questions, do I have a motion to adjourn? Right. We're adjourned.
What's that?